So welcome everybody. We've got today the lovely Lindsey Burden, and Lindsey I've got to know through networking. Lindsey and I can chat. Welcome Lindsey. How are you doing this morning?
I'm really good, Stephen. I am quite concerned, and I guess at some point you'll just have to go, right, that's enough now. We'll have to stop talking. Because you and I really could talk forever because there's so much that we have in common and so many ways that we share a lot of values and ethos, I guess.
Absolutely. We also do a very similar job. So
Yes.
Lindsay's a very successful business coach, and she's been working for 14 years. So Lindsay, right, okay, I love asking this question. How did you end up running your own business? What happened? What was the switch?
There was a part of me that always wanted to have my own business and didn't really know how or what. And we were just talking before you hit record, and I mentioned that my nan used to have a cafe and my auntie had her own hairdressers. So I think it was sort of, my mum and dad, when my dad left the Merchant Navy, they went and got a pub and they did that for over 10 years. So I think it was probably in my blood, and there was a pull to do it, to have my own business. I wanted to I wanted to make it's cliches now. I wanted to make a difference and I wanted it to be easy. I don't know. There was just part of me that went, I think I can do this and I'm going to do it. I don't think there was anything deeper than that. I think I can do this. That was it.
Well, you're doing it, and you've been doing it for 14 years.
There was also a moment as well. So I had been city centre manager for here in Salisbury for 10 years. And we were moving at that point. They were bringing in business improvement districts. So now you don't hear the phrase city centre management at the time. Nearly most cities had them. But as we were coming to the end of my time with city centre manager and here in Salisbury, we were bringing in and introducing the concept of a business improvement district. And so business improvement districts, there's a legal requirement, there's voting, everyone has to decide what you're going to spend your money on. You have to contribute. City centre management was very similar, but I had to beg for the money.
Right.
So at that point, I went, do you know what? I cannot be the person that leads this bid. These businesses have seen me for 10 years going, could I have some money for some Christmas lights? Shall we do this? And have you got
Yeah.
any money to put in that? I said, it can't be me. I said, can you make me redundant? And at that point, I'd also been looking at if I did something, what could I do? And someone said to me, if anyone can start a business, Lindsay, it's you. You know everyone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, so what could I do? And that's really where it started from. Someone telling me I could, and an opportunity presented itself because I could walk away from where I was.
Yeah. It's really funny because I fell into doing what I do in exactly the same way because a friend of mine through networking, I was looking for something different to do. And he said, we've always had great business chats. Why don't you become a business advisor? And that was how I started.
Well, my journey was slightly different because I became a VA, so a virtual assistant. So I was thinking I can do all this stuff, strategy, operations, ask me to organize a duck race or a Christmas light switch on. I am on it. So marketing, business strategy, operations, I had it all. So I thought, well, if I can do that for business owners, I can free up their time so they can focus on what they want to do. And that I sort of fell into it. And then someone said, oh, I hear you're going to start a business. I'm leaving the area. Would you like these three clients? I was like, oh, okay. And then a friend said, I'm going to live in New Zealand. Would you manage my graphic design business? And I literally had four clients land. And I went, but I've not been made redundant yet. And I work 3 days a week. But somehow I managed to make it work. But what was really interesting, almost immediate with all of those clients, they didn't need a VA. They needed someone to manage in their businesses. They needed
Yeah.
someone who understood business development. And often I picked up a lot of marketing clients because they used to say, can you do that thing? I said, what thing? That thing you do for so and so because you're really good at it. And I was good at marketing because I could go, okay, I'm listening to what they say. They're saying here, they want to go here. Okay, this is where their marketing wants to support their business. They didn't know, they didn't understand that. I could see it. And I started to get really frustrated. And I was working probably 6, 7 days a week because I
Mm.
was working in people's businesses. They didn't want me virtually. So nearly every day I was in somebody's business. Every night I was working on somebody's business. and I was tired. I was horrible to live with. I had two small children. I was shouting at everybody. And I just thought, this can't go on. And I signed up to work with a business coach, my second one actually, because I had one for the VA business. And I joined her mastermind. And I was at this lovely venue one day, and they said, Lindsay, we think you need to be a coach. I was like, what? What? They were like, you need to be a business coach. I went, no, 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 you're the coach. I'm just here to sort my business out and give myself some time back. They went, no, you're coaching without knowing it. You're helping these business owners grow their businesses, develop their businesses, and you're doing it for £25 an hour. And that's not fair. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's something not right here, isn't there? There's something flawed here. So I've, another thing landed in my lap. We decided to sell our house. So while I'm thinking of transitioning, so this is about 3, 4 years in, and while I'm thinking of transitioning the business, remembering I've got two small children, we sold our house and had nowhere to go because we couldn't find one. So we went and lived with my mum, who then was in her 70s and had a 3-story house, but only 2 bedrooms. So the kids had to share a bedroom for the first time. They had an ensuite, Steve. They were happy as Larry.
Yeah.
I don't think at that age they really knew what an ensuite was, but hey, we've got a shower in our bedroom. My husband and I, so in my mum's conservatory, we had a bed, I had a desk, and we had a sofa and a TV. So I lived and worked in that conservatory for nearly a year,
Wow.
but I didn't have to pay a mortgage. So it was really perfect timing. Um, and part of before we moved, I had I put this coaching package together. And again, it's all these lovely things that happen, isn't it? And I phoned a really good friend of mine and I said, I'm going to be a business coach. Now, this is someone who multiple six-figure business owner that I knew. Okay, tell me some more, Lindsay. So I was like, so I've got this idea and this is what I'm going to do. And I've put this package together and it's 3 grand. Do you think I'll be able to sell it? She went, I'll have it. So I was like, okay, I think I'm onto something here. No, she wanted it because she knew me. I already had built know, like, and trust.
Mm.
I'd done that over the years before. The groundwork had already been done. It's not like I suddenly turned up on a doorstep, knocked on it, and said, I'm a coach. Would you give me 3 grand? Because that would never happen, would it? Not really. So I'd built that relationship with her. So I had her. It meant I'd move to my mum's. I could start doing some group programs. I could develop everything. So there were these little moments that enabled me, I think, to sit where I am today.
Yeah.
Also, it took me to some really great highs, but it took me to some pretty big lows as well.
Yeah.
Um, and trying to look after a family and find a new home and all of those things as well. At times, it was really stressful. And I did think, shall I go and get a job? It's got to be easier.
Do you know, I want to talk about that because actually, one of the big things I think people have this preconceived idea, when you're running your own business, you've got loads of money, you've got loads of free time, you're not answerable to anybody, you've got all of these wonderful, your lifestyle must be absolutely wonderful. But what people don't see, and actually it's one of the things that people don't really talk about, is
Mm,
how just bloody hard it is running a business.
yeah, it is.
So what would you say, this is quite a difficult question, but what would you say is the biggest challenge that you faced in those early years?
Well, on a sort of jokey level, I'd signed up to another coach when I was living at my mum's, who was in New Zealand. So I had a time difference issue. So I was getting up in the middle of the night to attend coaching calls, group and one-to-one. So that was quite difficult because I'm not really a middle of the night kind of person. And it was one of those years when the snow was really thick, you couldn't get out of your house, and I was in a
Yeah.
garage.
Oh, goodness.
So it wasn't great. So that was quite challenging. But on a more serious note, you've sort of alluded to it already. I think there isn't enough talks about how it can be a really lonely path, and being a
Yeah.
business owner is not for everybody. And I'm an extrovert. I say that I'm a lazy extrovert because I can't be bothered to leave my office now. I think that's an age thing as well. And people are like, "Oh, how are you going to cope at home?" but I'm talking to people all the time. I'm networking online. I've got my clients. So, but it's not for everybody. And if you're easily distracted because the washing up needs doing, or you've noticed there's a pile of laundry, or suddenly you need to go and dust the living. If you're easily distracted, you're going to find it quite difficult to run a business because you have to be disciplined. Even from the very early days, and whether you're a solopreneur, and even when you've got teams and you've got larger businesses, you still need to be disciplined, and that's quite hard for people, I think.
Mhm.
The other thing I would say, Steve, that I wish I had I wish someone had sat me down and gone, Lindsay, you need boundaries. And I don't care what anyone says, but you need boundaries, Lindsay, and stop messing about because you need them. I didn't have them when I first started my business and was working till 1, 2 in the morning every morning and then
Yeah,
redoing the work because it was rubbish from the night before. Then when I moved to my mum's, I sort of didn't need quite so many boundaries because I could say, Mum, go and get the kids, or, I didn't have to worry about cooking because she did a lot of it. So all my boundaries slipped. So I was quite often working long hours. Um, and then when we got this house and I finally got my office, ta-da, those I had no boundaries. So I was working a lot. And there is nothing worse than hearing your child say, You're always working.
yeah,
So for me, it's really thinking. So if you want to go into business, I would say really think about what works best for you. What excites you? Do you enjoy being around people? Because so for example, if you're saying, oh no, I couldn't work from home, that doesn't stop you becoming a business owner because there are serviced offices that you could go and work in, and actually then you would be around other people and you'd feed off that energy.
yeah,
Because I think there needs to be an energy that we all feed into.
yeah,
But then there is a cost to that. So I think it's not for everyone because it can be a lonely old place that we sit in. Um, it's not always for everyone. There is feast and famine. Now, I work with clients now to address that feast and famine. I've worked really hard in my business so that I don't have an income feast and famine because there is nothing worse than sitting here and going, I'm not sure I've got enough money in the bank account to pay my bills. Or it's happened to me a couple of times where I've gone, I'm just going to have to use my tax money and hope it all comes out the other end.
yeah.
So it's lonely, it's hard, it's challenging. You need boundaries. It's not for everyone, and that's okay. And it would be a really boring world actually if we all suddenly became business owners, wouldn't it? Because we have to have people that want different things and enjoy different things. So for me, as businesses, I was going to say we have to be resilient, and I don't think that's true. We learn to be resilient.
Yeah.
We don't have to be at the beginning, and I don't think for many of us we are not, or I was probably just determined.
Mm.
And determination and grit aren't necessarily great things in business because they keep you busy.
Yeah, but it's about, so one of the big things I see is in the work that I do is the loneliness, the feast and famine. I see those are issues all of the time that people experience. One of the big things I see is focus and direction as well. People will sit there and they will say something along the lines of, I want to be here. This is where I want to get to. Oh, what's that over there? And it's almost that kind of distractions that people have, and it's about keeping people on a path. The discipline thing you talk about is really interesting as well. So I make an effort to be making sure that I'm sat at my desk at a particular time
Yeah,
every day.
and me.
I have a lunch break. I will
Ooh,
go and have lunch at a particular time. It moves throughout the day depending on the timetable that I've got throughout the course of the day, but I will work through till sort of 6, half 6, pretty much every day unless I've got something else that's going on. So I kind of, that's how I retain my discipline. And what I try to do, the biggest thing for me, the just biggest distraction for me is the phone going off. And I'm not just saying, flicking through social media and all of the other those sorts of things. It's when you're in the middle of something and you get a WhatsApp message, and I've got my WhatsApp tied up to my computer and everything else. So I'll be working on something and a WhatsApp message come in, and it might be a joke from a friend or something along those sorts of lines. And it's actually the biggest challenge I have. on my own focus is stopping responding to that, or responding with some kind of sarcastic or what I perceive to be witty comment or whatever. And I think that they're kind of like the challenge that I have. The loneliness issue, I genuinely believe is the biggest problem. It is the biggest problem that people have when they work for themselves, by themselves. So yeah, it's kind of like a massive thing. So what was the game changer for you? What was the thing that actually made you sit there and go, do you know what? I can do this, and I am doing this, and I'm doing this well. What was the game changer?
I don't think there was necessarily a game changer. And I mentioned that determination and grit. Um, and for me, I thought that just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I was able to do that. Um, and I, no matter what, I just kept going.
Yeah,
Um, but determination and grit is needed, I think, in business at certain times when we're doing something, when we're launching something new. You know, there are times when we really do need that determination and grit to get us
yeah,
through. But when you're reliant on that, what happens, and certainly happened for me, was you become really busy because determination is great, right? It's not working, so I just need another one of those. Okay, it's not quite working. I've not got the income I need. I need to create a new something. I need to sell more of that. Oh, I haven't sold that for ages. Don't really like it. I'll start something new. I need a new social media platform. I mean, I was on everything. Periscope, I don't know if you remember Periscope. I was on them
yeah,
all. You know, I need another social media platform. I need another marketing tool. And I think for me, I needed someone to sit me down, which is what I do with my clients, and go, whoa, 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 whoa. Where are we going? And what do we truly need? Because what I was doing is I was pushing through all the time, and pushing through meant doing more. And doing more is never the answer. Doing more is never the answer because and I guess that understanding that piece comes from suddenly going, okay, I'll tell you what the light bulb moment was actually, Steve. So thank you for that realization. It's just come to me. I realized I was aiming for these huge monthly turnover sums. And I sat back one day and I was like, I did the whoa, whoa, whoa on myself and went, you are never going to hit that with the business that you have. Never in a million years. And if you were my client and I was coaching you right now, Lindsay, I'd be telling you, you're bonkers mad. And either you need to give up now because you're unrealistic, completely mad, or we need to help you work out what it is that you actually need to turn over, what you want to be turning over, and what you can realistically turn over with the business that you have, and then looking and saying, okay, so this is where we're at. What could be the next level? What could it look like? And start doing it. Stop heading, because I was being really busy aiming for something that I was never going to achieve, Steve, in a million years. So I just went, okay, so if I'm not heading there, what does everything look like? I stripped my offers back. I looked at what I'm doing. The other thing that happened, and I'd kind of forgotten about it actually, in 2020, do you remember 2020, that really bonkers year?
yeah. Sunny was everyone was out, everyone was furloughed except self-employed people.
Yeah, who were pivoting like no, like pivoting like the best netball
Yeah.
players. Well, this girl didn't pivot. This girl got breast cancer.
Oh, right.
This girl had to have three operations in lockdown. The first was in that first week of lockdown. But if you ever want to talk about that, that is like a surreal. Going to a hospital is empty. Where
Yeah,
is everybody? There are no cars. There's nobody. Everyone's gone home. It's like just madness. But what that did to me when I first in the January, when they said, right, we're going to do some tests, and then we were getting to the point where I thought, yeah, come March, I need to have an operation. So lockdown hadn't quite happened
yeah,
for it to happen. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this world's going to look like for me. Forgetting COVID, I don't know what this world's going to look like. So I had to do that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Stripped everything back, increased my pricing, decided who I wanted to work with, what was really important to me, signed up to a coaching program. Again, that was probably a bit nuts because who knows what might have happened. But it was that stripping back. And it was me saying, do you know what? What's really important to me is I want to have a business that enables me to live the most incredible life because I've only got one go at it. So that was almost like a little switch for me. So I think there has been a couple of light bulb moments. That was probably the most recent. And now for me, it's always about What do you want to do in life? What's important to you? Because we can follow the likes of, and an American guy who prides himself on working 17, 18 hours a day. I won't say too much, just in case anyone from America ever listens to this, because if I give a few facts, they'll guess who it is.
Yeah.
And no, he's not the president of the United States. Um, and I'm just like, that is madness. That is not living a life. And you could say, and I'm sure he would say, but I love what I do. But you're not spending any time with your children. You're not
Mhm.
spending any time with the people that are important to you. And, that's not a life. I don't believe that being at your desk is a life. So for me, it's about helping my clients really create businesses that light them up, that excite the hell out of them, and that give them back their freedom, which could be financial or time, and tend to be both.
Yeah. It's really interesting again what you're saying there, because actually your light bulb moment has affected the way that you work with people.
Has.
Because actually, it's what do you want? We talked about person-centered approach, very much a person-centered approach, and there are some people that work, they have a format, and you go through the format or whatever that would be. My approach also is very similar to yours. What do you want
Yeah.
from this working for yourself? There was a lady that I know locally to me, and she was running a florist that fitted around her lifestyle. And she was told by somebody once that she was running a hobby business, but she had parental responsibility. She had an autistic child. She had all these different things. And actually, the business that she was running, she was building a client base, and she was made to feel small because she wasn't running what this person
Yeah.
perceived to be a proper business, which actually is a load of crap. And I think that's really harsh, and it's that judgment that some people place on you. But what people have to understand when they're running a business is it's what you want. It's what you want from life. If you want to work 17, 18 hours a day, that's fine. If that's what floats your boat.
That's
If
fine, but don't come and work with me.
yeah, that's not my way of doing it. But if you want to have a business that actually fits around your lifestyle, that provides you with enough that you want for your lifestyle, then that is success if you achieve that.
Yeah.
And actually, there's the other perception of success. People believe that success is 15 Porsches parked in the garage and a mansion. I sit there and I think people have this perception of success. It's material, but actually, success isn't material. Success is lifestyle, and if you want those material things, happy days. My big moment was I was working with I had at one point I had about 18 clients, and I was constantly working with them and everything else. My big moment came where I sat back and I thought, what do I need to earn income wise? And what does that look like in terms of the number of people? And I was constantly striving to hit these 18 clients because that was what I felt I needed. And when I sat back and I looked at it properly, I realized I actually only needed 9,
Yeah.
and changed my pricing structure. And I don't look at my turnover now. I look at my client list, right? Because for me, it's easier than X thousand pounds is a lot of money to try and hit, whereas 9 clients isn't a lot of clients to hit. So that was my big sort of like shift in. I know 9 clients earns me X. That's what I need to earn. So I'm just going to focus on the clients. And it was take that helped me reduce my overwhelm on
Yeah.
the financial figure, because I know 9 clients gives me the lifestyle I want. So that was and it was a mindset shift for me. So it's really interesting when you sit there and you listen to what you've just said there. That there are a fair few parallels. Are we related?
Probably. Because
Yeah.
we don't support the same football team, so we could.
No, no. Well,
I
yeah.
just Steve, I just
Next year we
wanted to
will be
pick
in the
up.
same league.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to pick up on something, and the lady who had the florist business and everything. What I would say to anybody who is thinking about starting a business is you're going to have to work at it, and and the key thing is to work out how many hours you can give your business. And I think this is really important for
Yeah,
women
it's true.
because we see it where women go, I want my own business because then I can run it around the children. If you think you can run your business around your children, you are sadly deluded and mistaken, because I've been there and I've tried it, and all I've done is made my children really unhappy because all I did was shout at them. What I should have done is gone, I want to build this business and still be a good mum. So how many hours can I give it? And then it's about saying, okay, so if I'm starting here at this point, this is where I want to be financially, or number of clients, depending on how you want to do it. So I'm going to have to do that a little bit slower. I'm going to have to do that at my pace. But taking that example of the florist, what you then do is you're building know, like, and trust. You're starting to build your client base, you're learning, you're growing, you're developing, so that as the children get older, and I'm just using children as an
Use
example,
an
it could
analogy,
be that
yeah.
you're a carer. As they get older, your time will expand slightly. And as a mother, I know your time will expand and it will retract, expand and retract. It's just that they need you in different ways. And then you work around that. And that's okay. It's okay not to start a business and want it to be, £1 million business by a week last Tuesday. It is okay. And it's also more than okay to have a business, as you've said, that just fits with where you are right now and
Mhm.
fulfills you right now, as long as you're paying your bills and making profit. Because I would still say, if you're running that business, you have to be making profit.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be great, it doesn't have to be huge. But I just think that's a really strong message that I try and get out all the time. How many hours have you got to give a business, whether you're in one now and thinking this is not working, or whether you want to start one? How many hours have you got to give it? Then I guarantee you will do the right work. And I
Yeah.
guarantee there's a high chance you'll even move it forward faster than someone is doing it full time.
Just that's a really, really interesting point. How many hours? I love that because it's so true. And one of the things that I said to this lady was actually exactly what you just said there was what will happen is you're building your customer base up. Those people like what you do. They love the product that you supply, the flowers that you supply. As you get more time into your life,
Yeah.
you'll be able to devote more time to your business, so you can build it accordingly. And Rome wasn't built in a day, you
No,
know,
it was not.
and that's something that a lot of people, again, they go into business, and this is again something else that I see is people start a business, and what people fail to realize is year one you've got all your startup costs, so at the end of year one you've made a loss. Year two, you know, you might break even there or thereabouts. Year three is when you start to make profits. And that's a typical, it's not the same for everybody, but that is kind of like your typical roadmap of what you've got. And what I see happens often is people get halfway through year two and they throw their hands up and then they stop because it's
Yeah.
not, but they've done the graft.
And the
Year
hard work.
one is the graft,
Yeah.
and actually just persevere and get through. Now, I realize that obviously sometimes circumstances change and whatever, but generally speaking, you do not build a business overnight. You know,
There are no overnight successes
no.
behind. I've had the privilege of working with the most incredible man locally, and he's an inventor. I mean,
Okay.
he's a retired inventor, well, because he's that kind of age, okay. And I caught up with him recently, so I've worked with him on and off over a couple of years when, it was a real struggle to sell this thing. It was a real
Yeah.
struggle. He was leaving, he just wanted it to work. He's had good times, on QVC when he sold out of, 200 units, it was nothing great. Caught up with him recently and he says, Lindsay, he said, I'm the 15-year overnight success. Because it's taken him 15 years. He's now employed both his daughters into the business.
Yeah.
Someone else is doing the packaging. So this will give you an idea of the small number of units we've gone to in a year. What he was doing in a year, he's now doing in a month. I mean, he's
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
completely, I mean,
Yeah.
it's taken America by storm. A number of points where almost, you could say was luck, but he made these opportunities, made these connections, met these people. But he's saying, Lindsay, I'm a 15-year overnight success. That can be how long? He never
Yeah.
gave up, never gave up.
No. James Dyson is another case in
Yeah,
point. James Dyson was, I think, the wheelbarrow was the first thing that he invented, the wheelbarrow with the ball.
yeah,
And then it was that ball technology that he then moved over to the vacuum cleaner.
yeah.
But he spent years developing that product and
Yeah.
developing that idea, and then recognized it could go into different things. Alan Sugar, right? We're talking obviously here, incredibly successful, well-known business people. He was a market stall trader,
So, yeah.
and Amstrad is AMS Trading. That's what it stands for. And he worked his he, hard as possible to
Mm.
actually grow what he did. These people don't people look at them. Stephen Bartlett's another one. People look at Stephen Bartlett and go, wow, you're a young bloke, you've built all these amazing businesses. Stephen Bartlett was feeding himself out of the back of bins from the back of a pizza
Yeah.
place, because he couldn't afford to feed himself, but he believed in what he was doing. So
Mm.
there isn't any such thing as an overnight success. And anybody that believes that you have an overnight success in business is misguided. Obviously, you get the odd anomaly where somebody
Yeah.
does have something and all of a sudden they blow up and it's the first idea they've come up with, and they've done really, really well. Um, I also believe that within business, adversity breeds resilience, and also it breeds kind of like you learn more from your mistakes than you do from the things that have done well. So what mistakes have you made, and what did you learn from those mistakes?
Well, personally, a lot. I guess that's another conversation.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't got that length of time, Lindsay.
It's really interesting there that you were talking about resilience and how making mistakes. And it's really easy. And I just wanted to touch on this really quickly. It's really easy to look at, the people that you've mentioned. And we can, if we throw Peter Jones in as well. So Peter Jones made his first million, lost everything, and was living in his car.
Right.
When you start using those stories, what it can make, there was a time when I thought I haven't suffered enough to be successful. So you're reading these inspiring and inspirational stories, you're reading these biographies of these incredible people, and they all seem to have really suffered. And then I got breast cancer. So be careful what you wish for. And I would say
Yeah.
to anyone, you do not have to suffer and I would say if you got all of those entrepreneurs together and you went, what would you want for new entrepreneurs today? I don't think they'd want them to suffer in the same way. I don't think anyone would want to see someone make a million, lose a million, and be living in their car. And I think the other thing to pick up on here as well is there is this piece around what are you willing to risk?
Hmm.
And I think for a lot of us, when Peter Jones, and I have no idea, please feel free, somebody to check it, but I'm going to take a wild guess that when he made his first million, he probably wasn't married and he didn't have children and he didn't have to keep a roof over their head because he might have made different decisions. So where you are in life very much dictates the risk that you are willing to, or the risks you are willing to take. So for
Hmm.
me, I will never risk the roof over our head.
Hmm.
So I think that's an important piece to make. One, you don't have to have anything terrible happen to you. It doesn't have to be an awful journey. You can just be, like me, an average Joe who just decided they wanted to start a business. So, I think that's an important thing to make. And we don't have to have anything life-changing because you can learn from the rest of us who have had all that.
Hmm.
But what have I learned from? Going back to this resilience, or rather this grit and determination, it took me a long time to realize that busy did not equal success. And I
Hmm.
was really good at going, yes, I'm really busy, really busy. Of course, I was really busy. I was really busy doing anything and everything. I said, didn't I, that I was working till 1, 2 in the morning. You are really busy when you're working to that time in the morning because in the morning, the real morning, you have to redo everything because from the night before it wasn't good enough. So you're busy for busy sake. And I have absolutely, without any doubt in my mind, been busy for busy sake. Because as long as I was busy doing, I could convince myself that everything was okay.
Yeah.
Um, so that was a big thing for me. Um, Not overcomplicated. So I laugh and joke and go, I was the queen of overcomplicating. If you gave me something that was really simple, I would make sure it was as complicated as hell by the time I'd finished with it. because again, that kept me busy, remembering I was
Yeah.
a busy fool. So I was really good at overcomplicating things. I was really good at adding in more to my programs, more to the way I worked, more to the offer. But that was about me going, I don't know if I'm good enough, so I'll just keep packing it in. Oh, and for that price, I need to add in this. And oh, if I could just create a little bit of a program and shove that in as well, it would. So there was a lot of limiting beliefs going, problems going on. And I needed to wake up and go, do you know what, Lindsay, you are good enough. And actually, all you're doing is confusing your buyers. They're not buying because they don't know what to buy, what you do, and nobody knows what you are on about. So simple, keep it simple because I've absolutely overcomplicated everything. And I still occasionally go down that route and I have to go, oh, no, what am I doing? Is it as simple as it could be? And simple's a bit of a mantra now. I really need it to be simple. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if there is so much mistakes as it is because I don't believe in mistakes, but I think there's been lots of learnings as I've gone along. And I always say trust your gut, and I've definitely ignored my gut sometimes to take on a client because I needed the money,
Yeah.
and it never works out.
We've all done that.
It never works
Yeah, it
out,
doesn't. No.
and you land up frustrated, chasing money. They
Mm.
drain, they suck the life out of you
Yeah.
normally.
Mood hoovers.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
But but again, I think that sometimes we have to do that. I had to lose a really big client at the beginning of my journey when I was still being a VA. I had to let them go. Um, and they couldn't really understand why I was going. I won't go into it, but it was just like, this is not good for me. This is quite toxic. This is not good for me. Nothing is good enough. Nothing I do will ever be good enough,
Mm.
and I need to go. And I think that was a really good thing to happen early on. I mean, that was worth £1,500 a month to me. That was a big loss.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I I would say don't get worried when things don't go right, when they don't go to plan or as you'd expected, when the client that you absolutely thought was going to work with you and then they ghost you. When any of those things happen, just sit for a moment and go, so is there anything I could have done differently?
Mhm.
Is there anything I can improve for next time? Can I make anything easier? What can I smooth? What, anything that feels clunky, what can I do? So just see them in these incredible learnings. And I've probably made more mistakes than I can think of, Steve.
Mm. It's so important what you say as well, that self-reflection, and be honest with yourself, and so often what will happen is we have this as human beings, we have this um innate belief that it's not really our fault or whatever it would be, or and it was because this happened, or it was because that happened, or whatever. But actually, when you sit and you reflect honestly on what you've done and how you've got to where you've got to, that's when you're in that point where you can start learning from those mistakes. So I personally don't believe in failure. I think everything is a learning
Agree.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to take it as a lesson and everything. And I regularly say that there is no such thing as failure. For me, I say first attempt in learning is kind of like the my
Yeah.
own little mantra. But
Oh.
actually, it's so true that we all make decisions at times that are at the time we believe are the best decisions that we could be making. So you wouldn't deliberately go and make a decision that's going to screw things up for you. That's not what would happen. But what you have to do is, if that decision has screwed things up for you, you have to go back and reflect on why you made that decision. I also listen to my gut now, much more than I did. I think it's because I'm 54 years old and my gut is expanding, so it's getting much bigger. But I say we come from one cell, and originally when we're conceived, we come from one cell. So you've got your logical brain, you've got your emotional brain, and then you've got your instinctive brain. And if you listen to all three of those things together, and if it's a skill that you can do, you will make better decisions moving forwards. Because actually, that's kind of the way that life works. So moving on to your clients, what would you say are the most common challenges you see amongst small business owners, the common challenges they face, and how do they get over those challenges?
One of the most common challenges is they are doing everything.
Yeah.
but so and so says I need to do that. And on TikTok, or Tickety Talk, as I like to call it, on Tickety Talk, they're pointing at those three things. And I haven't done those three things. Or over Instagram, that person's in front of that multi-million pound house. And they said I should be doing this. Information overload is real. And what happens, particularly if you are not clear on the end destination, if you're not clear where you're heading, you'll pick up all of the things and
Mm.
you'll just bring more. And often when they come to me, not always, but quite often, I call it the melting pot of mess.
Yeah,
I have to unpick it, and it's literally going, "What's this?" And they go, "Oh, I don't know, but in 2023 we were all told we needed that. How's that working out? Oh, I don't know. Okay, we'll put that to one side. And what about that? Oh no, I don't like doing that. Okay, well we'll get rid of that."
yeah.
And because we're trying to do everything, because because we don't know where we're going, but also because it's really easy to lose sight of where you're going and your path. And that has been through, in some ways, no fault of your own, um, because there is so much out there to distract you. There is always the next shiny object. And yet, at the core of most shiny objects is something that we've all been doing for years. There isn't very much that has changed. So we always need to come back to the basics, the fundamentals in business, and doing them really, really well.
Hmm.
So I think that's one of the challenges. And because they're trying to do everything, they're usually exhausted. And when I get them to go, okay, so how much are you earning? How many hours are you putting in? So what's your hourly rate? Everyone goes, oh, oh, which is an exercise I don't recommend anyone does without a business coach by their side, because you might land up crying and need a little bit of help and support. So it's helping them to see where the time that is being spent well, where it's been spent through comfort, and I've always done it this way, and where actually it's just busy for busy's sake, or because
Hmm.
somebody on Tickety Talk said you should be doing it. So it's working that out. I think the other thing that is a challenge is, and we've talked about and touched on it, is this loneliness and feeling like you're doing it all on your own and not being able to share some of your challenges, because when you share them with a partner or the cat or the dog or your neighbor, they don't know your business and they probably aren't a business owner, so they just want to keep you safe. So they'll probably say things like, have you thought about getting a job?
Yeah.
Which is never very helpful. So I would say choose your counsel wisely. And for me, I mean, Steve, you and I met networking. Networking for me is everything. Find the right network, and only networking is the only network. Find the right
Good plug.
network, you'll find the right people, you'll find people that you can pick up and go, I've got this problem, can I help? Can you help me? Pick up the phone. You'll find yourself in a space where you can go, I'm facing this at the moment and it's driving me insane, or I'm really worried about this. And you'll just get help to see things from a different perspective and through a different lens. And that is invaluable because it's a lonely path. You can choose for it not to be lonely.
Hmm.
Choose not to be lonely. So, but I think there's loads of other things as well, Steve. Pricing,
Mm.
particularly pricing.
Well, we don't value ourselves, do we? We don't value
I
what we do.
spend a lot of time going, what? What's that?
Yeah.
I had one recently and I went, that. And I said, I literally said to a client last week or the week before. So, and this is a very small offer as part of a journey. So it was always going to be, it was never going to be hundreds or thousands. And I think I'm going to do it at £30. I went, really? I had at least 90 in my head
Yeah.
because we naturally undervalue ourselves. So I think pricing is a real issue, and therefore selling is a real challenge. And that goes back to, my clients. I like all my clients to have a CRM. I like them to understand the part the CRM plays in their pipeline. I like them to understand what their pipeline looks like. No, it's not just when you send them, a proposal here. It's all the work you've done before.
Hmm.
And often come to me without a CRM, or they have a CRM, but it just bores them. So I help them see that is the heart of their business because it's part of their pipeline. So pipeline's an issue, sales, pricing, marketing. Oh, I need a lead magnet. What do you need a lead magnet for? Oh, I need a lead magnet, don't I, to collect emails? No, the clue's in the title. It's a lead magnet. Where's it leading them to? What do you mean? Well, you put something out there that either helps them understand what the next step is and they will take it with you, or you help them move to the place where they need to be to work with you. So therefore, where are we? Oh no, I just want their email address. No, no. The lead magnet is my favorite one. Or I think I need another lead magnet. What do you need another one? The other one's not collecting emails. Where have you promoted it? Well, it's on the website. No, no, no. Where have you promoted it? Who have you told? Well, I haven't really told anyone about it. Then we need to find out if that one's working
Yeah,
before we have another one. And again, I think that goes back to trying to do everything and doing everything that everyone says. So marketing, particularly for me, it's around let's just make it really simple. I'm about simplicity.
yeah,
So I think there are a lot of challenges, Steve, and some will be brilliant at marketing because they might come with that kind of background, but lack the ability to turn those leads into
to
sales, so
sales.
conversion. Um, Others might just be trying to do it all and feel like they're on a hamster wheel and we just need to strip it back. There's
Mm,
just so many challenges particularly for small. So whether you're a solopreneur or a business owner, that's sort of you can have anything from two to two, three staff right up to 10. It doesn't matter whether you've got a corporate organization, the head of a blue chip company, you'll probably say, facing the same challenges.
mm,
And I always say the only because people say, what kind of clients do you work with? And I always say the zeros make no difference. I don't care whether you want the most incredible, successful, profitable business that is 5-figure years, 6-figure
mm.
years. The zeros are relevant. And actually, problems don't care how many zeros there are either.
Yeah, that's true. It's very, very true. Um, I love what you just said there, and it's that whole you've covered a whole range of different aspects, and that side of things. A lot of it comes down to the whole tickety tock thing. Is so true. It really, really is. It's the idea that, I mean, you can open social media now, and you've got some guru telling you that you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do the other. It's very easy to get distracted by that. I saw something on social media that said I need to be doing this. And actually, like you say, keep it simple. Focus on the things that work, and
Yeah.
keep going. I'm mindful of time, but I always like to finish these podcast recordings with one question. If you could go back 14 years, and you could go back in time 14 years, what would the the 40-year-old Lindsay tell the 26-year-old Lindsay? Let's just say, because you're 40 now, aren't you? Obviously. So you
That's
you
so
start you
kind of
starting
you.
your business. You're starting your
If
business, right?
only,
You
if
starting your
only I was
business.
50, I'd be happy to tell you.
But
I,
what would you say to
okay.
yourself who's starting a business now? The best nugget that you could give anybody who's starting a business, what would that be?
First of all, there's a real challenge with this question because I always say I would never change anything. Because if I changed something, I wouldn't be the coach I am today. If I
Hmm.
changed something, I wouldn't be where I am today. So there is hindsight is an incredible thing, but
Yeah,
I'm always quite wary that if I had a time machine and went back, everything would start to change. And that's quite scary. Who knows where I might land up?
yeah,
If I could do one thing, the thing that has made the biggest impact in my business, that has seen my business move forward and grow, is a 90-day plan. It's so simple, folks. A 90-day plan. Because I have in the past, if you want me to create you a business plan good enough to take that to the bank, in the old days, we would have gone to the bank with a business plan and gone, "Hey, bank manager, give me some money." And they'd go, "Oh, this looks great. Thank you very much. I can do one of those." And I could do one of those and I can put it away and never look at it again. So it was,
keeps your door open nice, stops your door closing in the
yeah,
window, doesn't it? Yeah,
it's got dust somewhere or on a pile.
yeah.
But what I was able to do is I eventually found a way that I could do a one pager for a 1 year plan, one pager, perfect. I do some other things around long, looking into the future, but let's just focus on this one plan. And I got really good at doing that. But then what I wasn't good at was then translating that and making things happen. And I had to find a way. And for 3 years, 3.5 years, I have really used 90-day plans well, along with a Fox planner, which is available from Amazon and other places. And no, I'm not an affiliate, but it is life changing
Hmm.
because it meant I could take my plan and turn it into monthly, weekly, and daily habits or
Yeah,
actions. And that is what has moved my business forward. So, I'm going back. I tell her to stop arsing around and doing everything, get super clear on where she was going to go, get her a one-page annual plan, and use a 90-day plan.
I love that. And I bang on about that all the time. It's that, and the 90-day plan is so important, like you say, because it makes you look at your months, and then it makes you look at your weeks, and then it makes you look at your days. And that's that thing, and it's that reverse engineering process that makes you sit there and think, what do I need to do today? Because you know that in 90 days your goal is this, but actually you're not going to hit that in that tomorrow. But what do you need to do that moves you closer towards that 90 days? And the satisfaction people get when they hit their 90-day plan, invariably ahead of the 90 days, and they
I know.
achieve all of the things that they do. I've got a client I'm working with at the moment, and we put down the 12-month plan, and then we broke it down into the 90 days and stuff. They hit their 12-month targets after 6 months, and they can't believe it.
Yeah. It's because of
It's
that movement. It's a sweet spot that it's enough
yeah.
time to make real progress, but not too long that it overwhelms you. I would say if you haven't used a 90-day plan, before you start running off to go and get one, people, I would get a little bit of help and support because I had clients who had their own 90-day plans, which were working, and I had some that were going, I don't get it. So I created a template
Mm.
for them. I gave it to this client. She said, I don't know if this is working. I haven't got anything in month 2 and 3. I was like, I haven't got anything in month 2 or 3. Okay, let's have a look at it. And I was like, whoa, you have put everything into month 1. That's why there is nothing left. You said you'll never finish that. I mean, it was, oh. So what do I move? And then it was about having the guidance of going, okay, where does this fit? What does that do? Okay, let's move that forward. You need to do this before that. Okay, so you're never going to get to that until that piece is done. Right, move that into month 3. So yeah, unless you are that way, unless you're switched on in that way, 90-day planning takes time. Don't
Hmm.
do 2 or 3 90-day plans and go, oh, that hasn't worked for me. I would
Hmm.
suggest, and certainly in my experience, you need to be doing it for well over a year before you suddenly go, hang on a minute. Because it took me that long not to overfill my three
Hmm.
months.
And it's habit forming as well, isn't it? Once you start putting your 90-day plans together, and you start to realize that you're moving in the direction, and you're hitting the targets that you want to do, you do more of it. And I'm a big believer that planning is actually probably the essence of good business. If you plan properly,
Yeah.
you will move forward because it gives you that focus and it gives you that direction that you need. And I'm a massive advocate of planning. Lindsey, I have to thank you very much. This morning has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed our chat. What I'll do, if anybody wants to contact Lindsey, I'll put her details at the end of this podcast, like I always do. But it just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it.
I've loved it, Steve. Thank you for inviting me.
You are welcome, and I'll see you soon.